Dr. The time is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Assalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin. Sayyidina wa maulana Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'du. First of all, I would like to give my sincere gratitude to our invited speakers today, Sümeyra Yakar, Ph.D. from Igdır University, Turkey, and Ustad Sultan Fatoni, Ph.D. candidate from Ferdowsi University of Mashhad, Iran. I also would like to say welcome to our university, even if only in a virtual meeting. In the next opportunity, we hope we can invite you to visit our university in a real way, not only in Zoom meeting, inshallah. Dear speakers, participants, ladies and gentlemen, this conference is held by Department of Islam and Constitution Law, Faculty of Sharia, Sultan Haji Muhammad Idris Samarinda State Islamic University. The symposium would like to pursue an in-depth discussion related to the dynamic interplay between Islam, state, and constitution. As we know, the discourse on state religion relation has become an essential issue in developing social sciences, politics, and law. As a living religion, Islam is one of the reference values for state formation. The legal effort to build a state is to formulate a constitution and the written or unwritten form of constitution. Therefore, the theme of our second international conference would be entitled Islam, State, and Constitution, reconciling the debate between secular and religious state. Ladies and gentlemen, in the case in Indonesia, political modernization in Indonesia, in some extent, has brought about political secularization. Yet in the Pancasila state, the process will not lead to a secular state. The relationship between religion and the state are intersectional relationship, neither fully integrated nor completely severed. In the reform era, political modernization and democratization has resulted in the emergence of new political parties, including Islamic parties. On the other hand, the freedom of expression in certain cases has led to disputes and conflicts that disrupt social harmony and national integration. In this context, religion can provide a positive contribution as an integrative factor that promotes social diversity and not as a disintegrative factor that supports social exclusivism. Ladies and gentlemen, this theme of conference also represents the living discussion in our faculty, Faculty of Sharia, Samarinda State Islamic University, that are reflected in the Department of Islam and Constitution Law. For information, currently we have 3 departments in Faculty of Sharia. The first is Islam and Constitutional Law, Islamic Family Law, and Sharia Economic Law. And through these 3 departments, we would try to do our best in developing such academic issues in several academic ways. One of them is by researching a relevant issue related to Islam and legal studies. This conference, in my opinion, is the realization of our effort. At the same time, the symposium is to show how we respond to some relevant issues by involving scholars from related countries. Finally, we hope this conference will bring new information, knowledge, and discussion to us, especially to our students here, and generally to the participants on behalf of the Faculty of Sharia. I wish you all the best. I wish you an impressive discussion. Hopefully, this conference will be meaningful to all of us, especially for development of science in the field of law and Islamic law. Last, once again, thank you for our special speakers, Dr. Yakar and Ustad Sultan. Many thanks also for the organizing committee, Belajar, all participants, students, and scholars. I wish you all the best in your near future. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Dr. Bambang Iswanto, for the speech. Finally, we come to the end of this event. To close this opening ceremony, let's reciting Hamdalah. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your participation in this seminar. I am Sulung Nasmawati. I would like to thank you very much, and I hope you all enjoy this international conference. Before I turn this session to our moderator, I would like to inform you all. The first, please on the video, mute the audio while seminar is running. The second, please fill the attendance link. The third, a certificate will be sent through the email. The fourth, certificate only appreciated to who attend the whole session from beginning until the end of the seminar. Okay, before we run to main agenda, allow me to invite our moderator today. And I would like to invite Muzain Ahyar as our moderator. For Muzain Ahyar, please have your time. Thank you for your attention and cooperation. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Najwa, our host today, for giving me the time. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce myself first. My name is Muzain Ahyar. You can call me Ahyar. It is an honor for me to be a moderator in this discussion. I am really pleased here having this opportunity because I can stand between our 2 distinguished speakers. First speaker is Sümeyra Yakar, Ph.D. from Igdır University in Turkey. Welcome to our university, Dr. Yakar. It is an honor for me, for us, to invite you, even if just in virtual realm. And good afternoon, Dr. Yakar. Günaydın in Turkey. Turk saatin deh. Am I right? My Turkey.
Yes.
Dr. Yakar, before we start to our agenda, I would like to read Dr. Yakar curriculum vitae first. Her name is Sümeyra Yakar. Dr. Yakar complete her bachelor at the Faculty of Theology from Uludağ University in 2009 in Bursa, Uludağ University. She received then her Master of Art and Ph.D. from the Institute of Arab and Islamic Studies, Exeter University in UK. Is focused on the relationship between theory and practice in the legal system of the contemporary Middle East. She is interested in religious practices, sectarian differences, and the influence of religion and politics in the Middle East. So Sümeyra Yakar also has a number of academic works. Among those works are Islamic jurisprudence and the role of custom, a comparative case study of Saudi Arabia and Iran. This work is published by Georgia Press. Yeah, she also has attended some academic symposium and presented her paper there. For instance, she has presented her works entitled "The Usage of Sectarian Religious Interpretation in Iran and Saudi Arabia." This presentation held by ACRP, Arab Center for Research and Policy Studies, if I'm not mistaken, Dr. Yakar. Yeah, those our first speaker. And the second, we have Sultan Fatoni. Welcome home, Pak Sultan. How are you? You are, I think you are good. Sultan is one of our best lecturer here at UNC Samarinda, and he was graduated from Islamic College Al-Aqidah Al-Hashimiyah in Jakarta, Indonesia, and he achieved his master at University of State Islamic University of Jakarta, Syarif Hidayatullah Jakarta. He also were the student, if I'm not mistaken, of ICAS, Islamic College for Advanced Studies. Yeah, and now he is PhD student at Ferdowsi University of Mashhad, Iran. He takes his PhD by the funding of Indonesian government through the Ministry of Religious Affairs. Yeah, Mora Scholarship. It's called Mora Scholarship. I call him Sultan by Gus Sultani. For your information, Gus is a call for son of Islamic leader, son of Islamic religious authority in Indonesia. So I put my highest respect on him, on you, Pak Sultan. So I call you Gus Sultan. Okay, without any further ado, initially we have one speaker more, Dr. Nyinyi Zhou from the Institute for Advanced Study in the Humanities from Eastern Germany. Unfortunately, he has to travel for his business at the same time of our academic conference schedule. And he really sorry for that. And he canceled the meeting. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, in this conference, we will discuss about Islam, faith, and constitution, and what the juxtaposition among these three interplayed variables. Quoting to Mark Jurgensmeyer, who are one of political scholars, he said that currently we live in a post-Cold War. After the World War II, which brought the world into a big polarization between the West and the East Bloc, the polarization has changed to capitalism vis-a-vis communism. Further, after the collapse of communism in 1989 up to 1981, the position of communism as a guiding ideology of a country changed again into religionism, including Islamism inside, and then Islamic country emerged. Now we see several Islamic country are mushrooming. Islamic country, quote unquote, are mushrooming. Some of countries declare, we see that some of countries declare an Islamic state. Some country declare that they are only Muslim country, not Islamic country, and some others try to Islamize their country by Islamizing the constitution, or several countries bring some Islamic values to be legalized normatively into their constitution. And according to Jürgen Meyer, the relevant question according to him is, can we live together between secular state and religious state? In other words, can secularists live in Islamic country? On vice versa, can Muslim live in secular state? So this is the question from Jürgen Meyer. So from this discussion, from this introduction, we see among Indonesia, Turkey, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and so forth and so forth, they are Muslim countries which ideologically have their own form of state, constitution, and constitutionalism. We know Turkey, for instance, is a secular state. We just see from its constitution, and Iran is an Islamic state. Saudi Arabia, Malaysia, and other countries have their own form of state and ideology. So I will bring this discussion more contextualized. So the question that we are dealing here with our constitution, with our discussion today is how Islamic is a Muslim country, how Islamic is Islamic country, and how secular is secular country. So to respond this issue, I would like to give our first special time to Dr. Sümeyra Yakar. Dr. Yakar will deliver her presentation about the influence of political and religious authority over the constitutionalism. Okay, Dr. Yakar, you have 15 up to 20 minutes. You are allowed to speak in English, or if you wish, you are allowed to speak in Arabic, because our lecturer here, wa minnam al-muhadirun mutakharrijuna min dualil Arabiyah, so they must be familiar with Arabic if you wish, but you have to, you have to decide. Okay, Dr. Sümeyra, 15 up to 20 minutes. The time is yours.
Okay, thank you. But I have a PowerPoint. How I can share it? I just can't, because I can't download it in the system.
You can share your screen.
Yes, I am. Yes.
Okay, you can share now.
Okay. Is it all right now? Can you see it?
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
The slide change, yeah. It's good.
First of all, I want to say thank you for allowing and enabling me to share my ideas and to listen your valuable comments. And I wish to participate this conference in person. For right now, I couldn't do it, but in the future, maybe we can do it. It's quite influential opportunity. And I want to say a special thank you to Ahyar for coming and visiting Turkey and making interview in Turkey with me. And this is the second connection regarding the first communication. And I hope to continue this. I hope to protect this communication for our future organizations. And today I will explain the influence of religious and political authorities over the constitutionalism in Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Turkey. But before starting, I want to say I am a researcher in Islamic law, but I can be a legal historian or legal anthropologist. But its legal part is more than its anthropologist part. Especially during my PhD study, I analyzed the use of custom by Iranian and Saudi scholars in their legal systems. So I can say that there is a differences between what the text says, how is scholar interprets it and how it's implemented in the practice. So the presentation basically deals with the influence of theoretical alliance or division between the religion and state over the legal practices in Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Turkey. Co- uh, Connecting varieties only with the legal sources or sectarian differences of countries doesn't offer reasonable explanation for the current situation in the MENA region. So the influence of local custom during the interpretation of religious sources clarifies the diversity of opinions on the same issue. And before starting the presentation, I want to give the basic opinion regarding the legal schools, especially Hanafi school is very common in Egypt, Maliki school is very common in Morocco, Maghreb, Algeria. Hanafi school is common around Turkey and Pakistan and in Indonesia. And Hanbali school is common in Saudi Arabia. And Jabiri school, which is known, which is the branch of Isna Sharia or Imami schools are common in Yemen, and Zaidi schools is common in Yemen, and in Imami school is common in Iran. Zaidi school is common in Yemen. The the people who are living in these countries are mainly followers of these schools. There can be the followers of other schools, but the majority while living in these countries basically follow these schools of law in their daily practices. But if the uh, legal system follows the Sharia law or Islamic legal system, the codifications are mainly connected with the uh, theory and with the rulings of these schools. However, if the legal system is not following Islamic law or Islamic regulations, it's quite impossible to see the influence of these Islamic schools over the constitution or over the legal rulings. And I choose um, to explain Turkey, Iran, and Saudi Arabia. For those who don't know where are these three countries, I just put the map. But the important
Iya,
things regarding the map is that
saudara dia
at the
berpemimpin ke
northwest of
Turki.
Riyadh, which is located quite which if you know there is Riyadh in Saudi Arabia, it's the capital city. At the northwest of Riyadh, there is Qasimi area, famous education center. Najd is located within this area. On the other hand, at the south part of Iran, which is located at the south part of Iran, um, near the Tehran, there is a city which is known as And on the other hand, in the middle of Turkey, there is a city which is known as Konya. And these three cities are famous with their education standards. And especially for Iran and Saudi Arabia, if the scholars graduate from these parts, they get privileged situation comparing with other scholars, and their opinion became more common amongst the society. Especially for Saudi Arabia, there is a special requirement for judges or government workers to be educated around Kashmir area. If a person doesn't get his education from the religious centers which is located at the Kashmir part of the Saudi Arabia, they cannot be they cannot obtain higher positions within the governmental system. This is especially very important for the legal system, for the judges and for the qadis. And if the legal opinion, which is known as fatwa, is provided by a scholar who are who were educated around kum or customary parts, their fatwas became very common, and the authorities uh, mainly tend to follow the fatwa of these scholars, comparing with the fatwas who are coming from the other scholars whose education was taken from different part of the countries or different part of the cities. And through the through the presentation, my main questions to answer is that uh, how do Saudi and Iranian scholars succeeded in generating a workable religious system from the accumulation of Hanbali and Jaferi legal works? How the secular legal system of Turkey opened a place for religious practices, because Turkey uses a secular legal system different from Saudi Arabia and Iran. However, there is a special place for people to practice their religious regulations. And to what extent the treatment of religious ruling is different from each other is important to explain. So the research therefore has a comparative approach which brings together quantitative and descriptive materials. I compare the relationship between religious and legal actors in the contemporary Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Turkey. So textual legal analysis is the main methodological tool in which I aim to bring together the relevant literature. Why I choose Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Turkey? Because there, especially for Saudi Arabia and Iran, there is similarities comparing with the differences. Um, and this, I will mention the similarities right now, and then the I will now mention about the differences, and then I will read the differences. The Saudi authorities uh, emphasize the use of classical Islamic law, which is known as fiqh, and it's neither codified nor constitutionalized. This makes this makes the legal system quite different from other codified legal systems, which is we saw in the case of Iran and Turkey. So the Saudi scholars also implemented the Hanbali school of law in general, especially in the field of personal relations, or which is known as muamalat. Iranian states supported the implementation of Jaferi school of law, especially in the field of personal relations. On the other hand, uh, the Turkish judges implemented the secular legal system. However, in the society, Hanafi school of law are uh, followed by the observant Muslims. It's not compulsory to follow the Sharia legal system. However, if a person wants to follow religious regulations, he or she can do it intentionally or voluntarily rather than under compulsory. And, and the Saudi scholars represent themselves as a protector of Sunni belief system and aims to create Islamic culture. Uh, Iranians also represent themselves as a protector of Shia belief system and aims Islamization of culture. And on the other hand, Turkish scholars or Turkish intellectuals ac- accept the Islamic and accept the reality of Islamic and non-Islamic culture, and there is no governmental project to Islamize culture or uh, vice versa. And this is why This is the influence of secular. This is the reflect of being a secular legal system. And there is no separation between the legislative, executive, and judicial branches in Saudi Arabia. So the system experiences modernization through state issued uh, decree laws, which is known Marsum al Malik. On the other hand, uh, in Iran, there is a peculiar separation between the judicial, executive, and um, uh, executive and legislative branches. And this division, this separation enables scholars to modernize to up-to-date the legal system. On the other hand, there is a clear distinction and division between the legislative, executive, and judicial branches in Turkey, and the regulations are implemented and produced regarding this division. Um, Even if for Turkey, even if the constitution doesn't have any connection with the Islamic law, the majority of society, the majority of citizens are followers of Islam. Because of that, uh, within the legal system, there is a special gaps for Muslim believers to follow and to observe their religious regulations. This makes Turkey different from other secular and Islamic countries. And Islamic law plays a crucial role in the survival of country, and especially in the survival of Saudi Arabia and Iran, and establish the parameters of what's permissible. And within this framework, a great variety of individually unique and culturally specific relationships can be existed. In both countries, in Saudi Arabia and and Iran, there are strong connections between state organizations and religious institutions as a as a religio-political theory. And there is an alliance between Saudi ulama and umara, which is known scholars and rulers, and the concept of velayat faqih, governance of the jurists in Iran. So, regarding these alliance, the religious scholars are the main interpreters of Islamic law and followers of Islamic law, while the rulers or political authorities are the implementers of the rules and protectors of the
Scholars
Islamic
and
legal system.
rulers.
On the
It is
other
scholars
hand,
and
in
rulers.
Turkey,
The read
there
is
is
in
no
question for
connection with the
justification.
religious
The
authorities and
interpretation of
political
judges.
rulers. So, what we
Representation of
see in
religion,
Saudi
national
Arabia and
identity.
Iran is not
Representation of
acceptable
religion,
for the
national.
status of Turkey because of having secular legal system. And as stated in the articles of both countries, Islamic law, uh, especially in Saudi Arabia and Iran, Islamic law constitutes the main foundation and basis for their legal systems. It may be asserted that the application of Islamic law within the legal systems implicitly refers to Muslim identity and Islamic character of these countries. However, for the constitution of Turkey, you cannot find any expression or any statement regarding the religious identity of Turkish people. This is completely different because in even the articles of Saudi and Iranian constitutions even shows the sectarian identity, especially the Saudi constitution says We are followers of Hanbali school and we accept the fourth school of law. Iran says the main school is Jafir School of Law, but for Turkey, the constitution does not give any place which represents the sectarian identity of Turkish people. And religious organizations in Saudi Arabia and Iran sought to propagate their practices and tenets outside their own countries with the aim of achieving universal religious expansion. However, in Turkey, the Turkish authorities does not have this kind of religious propaganda because the system as being secular does not accept this as a governmental project. And the active relationship or communication between education centers and governmental actors shapes the way of political obedience and religious understanding of people. So the religious education centers, as I explained at the beginning, are mainly supported by the government and their curriculums are controlled by the government officials in Iran and Saudi Arabia. So education is used to control and protect the sectarian identity of citizens, especially in Iran and Saudi Arabia. But for Turkey, there is not quite influential religious education centers. There are a few Konya, Erzurum, Diyarbakır, or Istanbul. However, these cities are uh, not used to impose the religious ideas over the people. They were more they focused on the practical way of religion rather than the theological version. And the scholars of Iran and Saudi Arabia are unique because they integrate their national identity into their religious interpretations to create national and religious communities. Um, However, in Turkey, secular national identity has privileged status comparing with the religious national identity in terms of international propagations. So Turkey couldn't use its religious identity, but Turkey basically used after the collapse of Ottoman Empire its national identity. And for Saudi Arabia, you can read the articles, especially in the articles of Saudi Arabia, they emphasize the importance of Islamic law and the sources of Islamic law, which are the Quran and Sunnah. You can see how the system works in the Saudi atmosphere. And regarding this constitution, the judge used classical Hanbali regulations in their modern jurisprudential system, and this is completely different from the other countries' legal system. And for the legal system of Iran, as you see in their constitution, they emphasize the usage of Islamic law for the solution of all civil cases. And for the later articles, they emphasize the importance of 12 Shia during the jurisprudential resolutions. And for Turkey, it says everyone is equal before the law without distinction to language, color, sex, political opinion, philosophical belief, or religion, and sex. So there is acceptance of equality among the society, and there is no division regarding the religious identity or sectarian identity. This completely changed the nature of Turkish system. And However, there is religious institutions for Saudi Arabia. Darul Ifta is the famous official religious institutions, and it's known as the General Presidency of Scholarly Research and Ifta. So the institution is responsible for conducting religious research and solving problems. However, its fatwas are binding, and if scholars issue a fatwa under the title of under the power of this institution, it can be a state regulation depending on the approval of the king. This regarding this, the Darul Ifta is the most powerful religious institution, and in Iran there is a marji, a taqlid practice, and these are the scholarly authorities and the followers. The Iranian peoples follow particular marji taqlids and obey their religious regulations. These are non-official organizations, and um, the scholars mainly organize the rulings. And however, it's important to say that the interpretation of Khomeini uh, is the provides the origin of codification for the contemporary Iranian constitution. And for Turkey, the Diyanet is the main religious institution. It's quite official. However, its fatwas doesn't have any binding power. People or citizens, Turkish citizens, have their own freedom follow the religious opinions which is provided by this institution, or they do not have any obligation to follow those kind of freedom. And what else? And the sorry. Okay, and there is the status of institutions are quite important in the countries, especially in Saudi Arabia and in Iran. In Saudi Arabia and in Turkey, not Iran. But Iran has a quite different system regarding its Velaya and Fiqh system. There is an alliance between Saudi authorities and uh, rulers, and this can be seen in Iran regarding the concept of Belaya and Faqih, but this system, this kind of alliance is not quite visible in the context of Turkey. However, there is the influence of religion upon custom in Saudi Arabia. On the other hand, there is the influence of religion, the influence of custom upon religion in Iran and Turkey. So the production of Islamic culture in Saudi Arabia is the main representation. However, Islamization of culture in Iran and Turkey is important because these countries are the adopted land of Islam, and Saudi scholars considers custom inside the framework of Islam, but Iranian and Turkish scholars approve the reality of non-Islamic culture also. And contradicting with the Saudi and Iranian legal system, Turkey doesn't follow Islamic law and doesn't give any place to Sharia in its jurisprudential system. However, the observant citizens have their right to follow their religious rulings on a voluntary basis. So the fatwas of religious institutions uh, in Turkey doesn't any binding power in Turkey, but it has a strong power over the society in Saudi Arabia, which changed the status. And the sectarian identity being Hanbali, Jaferi, or Hanafi doesn't create tension for the issues related to the civil law, especially including inheritance, marriage, divorce. However, the sectarian identity being Wahhabi, Shia, or Sunni somehow might lead problems for the issues related to social events and politics. I can say that. And I want to say thank you for listening to me. If you have questions, I can take them. Oh, yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Yakar, for your nice presentation. And Dr. Yakar also explained in a comparative ways between Saudi, Iran, and Turkey. Yeah, I would like to remind the participant. Yes, question. You can prepare your question, and in the second term, we will open the section for Q&A, question and answer, after the second speaker. I see here a lot of participants came from many countries and province in Indonesia, around Indonesia, and from also in any background. We see here we have judges from Indonesia, from religious court. I know you. You are my friend. He is judges here. Also, come to this Zoom meeting room, and you can share later. Yeah, it is time to me to hand over the time to Sheikh Sultan Fatoni, and you have also 15 up to 20 minutes, Sultan, to deliver your presentation. And Pak Sultan will deliver her presentation about Iranian context. He argued that Iran is a religious state, but secular society. It is interesting topic, and the time is yours, Pak Sultan.
Okay, thanks. Thanks for the time. It seems that my presentation is only subordinate from the Dr. Sümeyra Yakar presentation, because I just want to give a presentation about Iranian condition that I know during my stay in Iran is 10 months. May I share my screen?
Yes, you can share your screen, Dr. Sultan.
Okay. Okay, this is my screen right now can be seen.
Yes, here now.
Okay. This is religious state and secular society. Some of the article from the Constitution of Iran that I give in my presentation already shared by Dr. Sümeyra. Like this is about the Iran Constitution of Iran, Article 1. The form of the government is Islamic Republic. This shows the tension between Republic and Islam value, because here Republic means the power is in the hand of people, but Islam means that the power is on the Sharia or the Islamic law. It even the leader right now, the leader of Iranian government,
Iran
right now said that
Constitution.
there is tension between these two ideas, between Islam and Republic. And there is the saying of the leader that shows this tension between Islam and Republic ideas in the next slide. And the Article 4 assumes that it is in the presentation of Dr. Sümeyra. Then this is the Article 12. Then this is Wilayatul Faqih. The Faqih here in Iran is someone that called Faqih must be graduated from Hauza Islamiyah or pesantren in Indonesia. Someone cannot be a Faqih without studying in pesantren or in Hauza Islamiyah here. And this Faqih can be the leader of the state, the head of the state, as before mentioned by Dr. Yakar. It must be Faqih and must be graduated from pesantren, Hauza Ilmiah here. It's called Hauza Ilmiah. And this Faqih is the head of the state. The head of the state in Iran is not president. Even though there is a president elected by the people, but the head of the state is this Faqih. It's called here Rahbar or the leader. And this Rahbar, the main requirement is he must be a marja'iyah. Except being a faqih, he has to be marja. He has to have a followers, people that follow his opinion of Islamic law. Then, but as it is said by the Article 6 from the Constitution, that there is an election for the president, election for the parliament. But the Rahbar, other institution called Majlis Khabarkan and the other constitution, the guardian of the constitution, they can eliminate some candidate of the president or the parliament if they see that they are not good good follower of the system or the Islamic law. This is the saying of the second Rahbar, the now Rahbar, the now leader. We can see that the tension between Islamic and Republic here in this saying. I will.
مردم حقوق مردم از جمله این ناچیست از
Then here in Iran, an election is subordinate of the Sharia or Islamic law. In the second day of the Rahbar, you can see it.
این نیست که مردم به ما بدبین میشن جلو ما شخصی هست لو من نفهم یک هم ثقافة شيء مش كسم مثلا.
This is the one that now is rahbar or the faqih that has position of the rahbar right now. His name is Ayatullah Ali Khamenei. He said that the people power or the human right is under the Sharia law. And this rahbar or the other institution called Majlis Barkon, which is consisted of faqih, they know how to deal with this problem, the problem of conflict between human power in republican ideas or the people power and the Sharia. Any legislation from the parliament, they must be seen by the guardian of the council, and if they agree that it is not in line with the Sharia, then the rules that legislated by the parliament will be approved. If the guardian of the constitution, which is Fuqaha, they said that the rules legislated by the parliament is not in line with Sharia, they will cancel it. But on the second part of my presentation, I feel that the society, the Iran citizen is not as much religious as the state, because an online survey by the Center of Human Rights here in Iran reveals that 60% agreed religious law should be excluded from legislation. It seems that the people here do not want an Islamic government or an Islamic regulation. And the survey reveals 79% oppose the law mandating all women wear the hijab. Right now, wearing hijab is an obligation here for the women in Iran. And 47 reported losing their religion in their lifetime. Then the Iranian citizen, maybe 47% do not believe in religion. And other phenomenon in social media on Instagram, because Facebook, YouTube, and other social media are banned here in Iran. Then people here use Instagram. The account of the leader, that Rahbar Ali Khamenei, it only has 4.8 followers, and the account of the opposition, a woman, she is the figure that opposing the mandatory of hijab. She has 7.2 followers. Then this woman is more popular on Instagram than the Rahbar himself. And the second phenomenon on Instagram is many of the sermons of the Friday imams are found to be a subject of jokes on Instagram. As we that here in Iran, Friday imam is a high position because there is only one Friday imam in a province, who is directly appointed by the Rahbar. Friday imam is a representative of Rahbar in each province here in Iran. That's why he is an important person and high and having a high position officially. But we can find many of their sermons are being subject of jokes in Instagram. It means that the people or the Iranian put the Friday Imam as a high or a religious person that cannot be a subject of jokes. And then the last of my presentation about on the street mean what I encounter in the street of here in the town that I live right now, Mashhad. I live right now in Mashhad, which is called a spiritual city of Iranian because there is an imam here, Haram Mutahar. It's called the 12 Shia. Have 12 imam, but there is only one imam in Iran, which is here in Mashhad. That's why Mashhad is called religious city. But here I found during Ramadan, I saw people eating and drinking on the street. Even so, it is mandatory to close the restaurant, cafe, and the like, but we can easily find someone do not do they eat and drink on the street. Then I found woman riding bicycle going to the football match stadium. Even so, the imam of the Friday prayer said that it is haram for women to ride bicycle and going to football match. But here we can find the woman still riding bicycle. Even so, this is not a binding regulation from the government, but the fatwa from the imam of Friday prayer is who has a high level position of in the government. And the last, also the young generation here, I found they do not respect to the religious leader or we call it here the akhwan, the mullah. They believe that the akhwan means that someone under the rahbar position they are liars. The young people here, generation here said that 5% from 10 religious leaders are liars. So this is the last picture. These school students, they show that they do not believe in religious obligation to wear hijab anymore. And here in the picture, they do not show their face because conducting like this picture, it may cause them to be arrested. That's why they do not show their face here. Okay, that's what my presentation and thanks. Then here I give it time to you.
Okay, thank you, Sheikh Sultan. It is interesting because 72% people reject the mandating Islamic law for
Wear hijab.
women in wearing hijab. It's mean that Islamic country lose the trust from its people. Okay, it's time to open the section of question and answer. Everyone who have question, please raise your hand virtually here, or you can write on the chat column.
while we are waiting for the question of our listeners, I want to say thank you to Sultan Fatfani. Your presentation was quite amazing and influential. Just I am curious about it. There is a system who impose and who protect the Islamic law in the theory. However, in the practice, the people may do not show support to practice the continued Islamic law. However, um, this can be difficult for non-observant Muslims who are living in Iran. However, there are also observant people who are voluntarily following the religious orders. For example, when you go to street, you can see the women who are using scarf as being religious obligation. And you can see the women who are using scarf just to obey the governmental regulations. You can differentiate it easily. However, are there any solution for people who are not observing Muslims? Just because if a person is not followers of Islam, you cannot push him to be a Muslim. This is one regulations. And if you impose religious regulations over these people, it can be a problem. And the vice versa is also another problem because, for example, in Turkey, there are Muslim people, Muslim observant people, and the system push these people to follow secular legal system rather than religious legal system. This is what is the case. You can see the problem of religious marriage, for example. So, are there any gaps within the legal system to enable these non-observant Muslims to live their way of life rather than being extremely religious or rather than following religious regulations? For example, there is not Muslim people, there is also Christian minorities, Jewish minorities, or Zoroastrian minorities. How they solve the problem with the constitution?
Enough, Sümeyra. Okay, before we let Sultan to answer Sümeyra question, I will read the question from Dr. Maisara Rahmi. So the question is addressed to Dr. Sümeyra. So the question is how Saudi Arabia apply and implement the Sharia in their country, and how does Turkey see about relation between state and religion? It means maybe how many the portion of religion in Turkey's constitution and Turkey state. Okay,
Okay.
give to answer first to Sultan Fatoni and then to you, Dr. Sümeyra. You want to respond, Dr. Sul Fatoni?
Okay. If I understand the question well, whether the religious minorities in Iran, how the religious minorities in Iran face the Islamic rules, like Islamic obligation rule by the government, like wearing the hijab. If that's the question, as the Center of Human Rights here in Iran report that religious minorities here are being oppressed here in Iran. They do not have a right to have their religion in publicly. They do not have the right to show their religion publicly. Here in the city that I live, Mashhad, some Christian reported by Center of Human Rights Iran said that they right now are being museum. It is just museum, but cannot do their Sunday morning prayer in the church. That's why the Christian here are being oppressed, and they feel that it is against the human right. They report it to the Center of Human Rights here in Iran. As is like in the classical book of Fiqih that we even in the Sunni it said that only is Muslim can show their religion publicly, if I'm not mistaken. Even in the Shafi'i book of law, Fiqh, religion cannot show their religion publicly. They cannot do prayer publicly. Here, it is just like in the Fiqh, Christian or other religious minorities cannot show their prayer publicly here. Even in the Tehran is the biggest city here. The government report on their official media that Christian here can do their Sunday morning prayer openly, but in the other city like here, schools woman, a girl, being shooted to
Ini
death.
saya mau nanya tentang masalah mata kuliah, Pak. Iya. Ini kan saya sudah ngambil semua mata kuliah, cuma SKS-nya nggak cukup, Pak.
Lifestyle of
Iya, kurang.
Ya harus ngambil
public.
Ya solusinya maksud saya mata kuliah apa yang harus saya ambil gitu,
I
Pak?
hope that it answers the question.
Udah semester berapa sekarang?
Thanks.
Saya semester 12.
Sekarang?
Iya.
Berarti nanti mau masuk semester 13 ya? Nah, jadi semester 13 nanti coba dicek di dalam tawaran mata kuliah itu mata kuliah apa yang ada, sesuaikan dengan yang ada di situ yang memang harus diambil lagi. Ada yang nggak lulus kelas sebelumnya?
Semuanya sudah saya ini, Pak, baikkan nilai semua.
Sudah
semua. Terus ada saya perbandingkan juga sama angkatan saya yang kemarin yang sudah lulus, ternyata mata kuliahnya sudah saya ambil semua di sini, Pak. Nggak ada yang ini. Cuma kurang 2 SKS saja.
Kurang 2 SKS. Sekarang berapa SKS? Totalnya sekarang berapa?
141.
141.
Iya. Kan harusnya 104.
Enggak, kamu sudah menekasnya belum? Belum. Ya kenapa? Ini kan cukup sudah ini. Cukup. Nanti 141 tambah dengan skripsi 6, 147.
Enggak, ini sama skripsi, Pak.
Oh, ini sudah dihitung skripsi cuma segini dapatnya. Berarti kurang memang.
Iya, yang saya bingungkan itu, Pak, kok teman saya ini lebih ini apa SKS-nya, sedangkan mata kuliahnya ini sama semua saya ini ngambil. Semua mata kuliah yang diambil sama
semua. Dia cukup.
Iya.
Ini enggak.
Itu yang saya bingungkan, Pak.
Jangan-jangan ada SKS yang berbeda. Ini punya siapa ini?
Itu Hairunisa yang sudah lulus, Pak. Angkatan saya juga.
Hairunisa.
Iya.
Hairunisa yang mana nih? Ini perlu dia apa nih dia?
HTN, Hukum Tata Negara.
Oh, jadi gini, punya dia ini sama persis dengan yang kamu ambil.
Iya.
Dia hitungannya cukup.
Saya enggak.
Dengan skripsi dia berapa ini? Dengan skripsi berapa dia dapat nilainya ini? Mana anunya? Indeks anunya mana? Hasil terakhirnya mana?
SKS.
Okay, you can continue.
Berapa SKS?
Okay. the judge can refer the opinion of these scholars in order to solve the issue. And at the same time, what I was okay. At the same time, what about the relationship in Turkey? The relationship between state and religion in Turkey.
Cek dulu, kecil loh. Jangan-jangan memang hitungannya kurang ya.
There is a clear
Cek dulu ya.
division
Saya sama
between
keluar
the
lagi nih.
executive,
Sebentar Pak ya. Soalnya Kak Nopan juga
legislative,
tadi yang
and
ini yang suruh lapor
jurisprudential
ke
branches of
ini dulu.
government.
Ah,
And Islamic
ini yang
law
ngeberunkan
or
siapa?
Islam do
Ini
not
siapa punya
have
ini?
Ini
do not
punya
Punya
have
orang.
iya,
any
yang sudah lulus.
Yang ngeberunkan siapa nih?
influence over
Ya,
the
Dapat dari mana?
constitution or
dari
over
ini
the
Kak Nopan.
jurisprudential
Yang
Oh, dari
system.
Nova.
Because
Terus punyamu yang mana ini?
secular
Ya,
system
punya saya
does
yang
not
ini yang
allow
sudah saya backing
Islam
semua
to
nilainya Pak.
work in
Tidak
harmony
begini maksudnya.
with the
Ini sama kah?
non-Islamic system.
Sama
So
persis.
there is
Sama.
a respectable division between religious
Ini
elements
sampai
and
itu punya ini punyamu ya?
governmental
Iya Pak.
elements.
Pak
If the
Iwa ini.
people
Hah?
want to
Saya
follow
ada
the
yang beberapa mata
religious
kuliah yang
orders,
saya
there
ulang
are
juga.
particular
Dan
gaps, and
nilainya
people can follow these religious
alhamdulillah
orders,
ada yang ulang juga Pak.
especially for the personal issues concerning marriage, divorce, inheritance. However, if the people, if the citizen
19 kali 2
doesn't
berapa?
want to follow the Islamic regulations,
1002.
he can choose
38.
to obey
38.
the secular legal system, and
38
it became
ditambah
official
9,
and it's acceptable
8,
by the government.
50,
This
59,
change the connection, the relationship
59,
between religion and state in
61
Turkey.
ditambah 8,
Okay, the majority of people, the
69.
majority of society are the
Ini semester
followers of
berapa ini?
Muslim.
Ini sudah selesai kayak ini?
The system does not give
Ini ada
any place
62. Coba dianu ulang dulu. Saya nggak ini
any
pakai Excel ini
place
biar cepat ini.
into religious
Ini kan beda ya. Tapi kamu
official
sudah
circulation.
dia
It's
cek
something
betul-betul dulu,
different
jangan
from
sampai nanti ada
other
yang keliru.
Middle Eastern
Iya,
or
Pak, sudah, Pak.
other religious
Nah,
and governments.
tadi memang
However,
ada yang
there is
beda
a
yang ini
religious
Pak.
Gimana?
institutions which
Mahat Al-Jamiah. Cuma saya
differentiated
sudah tanyakan ke Kak Nopan, ini
differentiates
memang nggak ada
Turkey
ini
from other
sebenarnya.
Nggak ada
secular
apanya?
Nggak ada, maksudnya
systems
SKS-nya nggak ada.
of
Nah, jadi saya
Western
nggak, ya,
countries.
jadi saya nggak ikutkan ini. Selebihnya itu
If
sama
I
persis Pak
ask
sama
for your
punya saya.
question, Nasria Rahmi,
Bahkan saya
I
ada tambahan
hope
Pak,
to answer your
mata kuliah
question.
pilihan
If you didn't
yang
get the answer, just you can write it again.
ini politik hukum Islam di Indonesia. Bahkan saya itu kemarin sempat juga ke ambil sendiri.
How
Saya
Dr.
bingung
Maisara
juga kan
Rahmi?
kemarin masih ada mata kuliah.
Anu aja gini, coba direkap ulang aja. Ini SKS-nya berapa semua? Punyamu berapa semua? Dihitung anu aja, dihitung fix aja. Kalau ini susah nanti ngitungnya nih. Coba biar kita bisa lihat nanti. Jangan salah hitung.
Okay.
Direkap aja, direkap dulu. Direkap semua.
The next
Ya.
question comes
Biar nanti ini
to
buat perbandingan enggak apa-apa.
Triono, I think.
Nanti kalau memang ternyata
We'll
sama
invite
persis terus ada yang anu, nanti kita cek lagi di mana anunya itu selisihnya. Pak?
Ya, baik Pak.
Oke.
Terima kasih banyak Pak ya.
Saya mau keluar dulu ini. Nah.
Microphone. Mr. Triono? Nur Triono? I think he got several technical problems, but he texted to me. There are some question here. This question is addressed to both of you, Dr. Sümeyra and Sultan Fatoni. The question is, how about the interreligious marriage in both in Iran and Turkey? So, to what extent the religious influence the policy of family law in Iran and Turkey, especially in the case of interreligious marriage? Okay, the first we give the time to Sultan.
Excuse me, it is my turn.
Yeah, your turn now.
Okay.
How about religious marriage in Turkey? Because it is hot issues in Indonesia now about interreligious marriage. The information Nurtiono is one of the judges of Indonesian religious court in Indonesia.
Yes, it is illegal here to a marriage between interreligious marriage is illegal here in Iran. Even 2 days ago, some of the member of the parliament said it is only not just another religion which is forbidden, but another madhab is forbidden. One of the member of the parliament here doesn't encourage the marriage intermadhab. They just want Shia and 12 Shia and 12 Shia marriage.
So it is illegal.
And yes, illegal. But even though the imam and he is the member of the parliament doesn't encourage the marriage.
Masih kayak itu.
To another madhab.
Ada kuat punya sinyalnya.
Shia and
Kayak HP ya. Keluar lu sambil.
Yeah. And I read some question.
You can respond it directly.
Okay. I read the question that whether Iranian government
recording in progress
and the like. They both have a constitution based on Sharia, and the Sharia between 12 Shia and the Hanafi is so much different. Thanks for the time.
Dr. Sümeyra, you can respond the question about the interreligious marriage.
Okay. Thank you for the question. In Turkey, interreligious question doesn't have any problem. If the parties want to get married, they can do it freely, regardless of their religion, their sectarian identity. However, this is how the secular legal system allows. However, if the person are the observer of religious regulations in its daily life, it can prevent himself or herself from
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Dr. Sümeyra, but your sound is not clear.
Okay, now I can start. There is no governmental punishment or governmental restriction over this kind of interreligious or intersectarian marriage. However, the observant people can protect themselves from this kind of marriages. It's completely depend on the selection selection or the decision of the citizens. So government doesn't have any responsibility or any role to stop this kind of marriage or to encourage this kind of marriage. It's completely on the people's own selection and their decisions. This is the different point, what makes Turkey different from other countries while losing Islamic jurisprudence in their legal system. And I saw a question, a person asked to Dr. Fatone, and it says, in Iran, a woman can be a member of constitution and can be a candidate to the constitution in theory. However, in practice, being the leader of the constitution is quite problematic because the leadership role of women is open for questions. However, women can be members in the constitution upon being selected by the elections. And at the same time, a woman cannot be a judge at the court. However, they can work as a commander at the court system. I couldn't remember court, but a woman cannot be an official judge at the jurisprudential system, at the court system. However, they can work as a lawyer. They can represent people under the title of lawyer, and they can be assistant of the judge, but they cannot be a main judge at the court system in Saudi Arabia and in Iraq. This is the regulations. However, in Turkey, a woman has a lawyer, and there is no restriction. This is from the secular concept. A woman has, I can say that a woman has more rights. However, women rights, yes, there is, comparing with other countries, the rights of women is quite broad. However, there was a scarf policy before 2000, and regarding the scarf policy, if a woman used scarf, these women couldn't go to the universities, and it was compulsory to take off the scarf before entering the university, and this was quite strict times, and this regulation somehow damaged the women's rights because each woman couldn't access equal couldn't have the equal access for free education. And however, after 2000, the conditions changed, and the scarf policy was changed by the government office, and all women has their rights. And there is no scarf policy, but use it or not use it. It's depends on the selection of people. So in Turkey, the religiosity is basically left the internal systems of the universe, and there is no government support or not of religious practices. This is the different side of for Turkey compared to this.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Sümeyra and
Pleasure.
Dr. Sultan. We have 15 minutes more. I will read the question from the participant. There are a lot of questions here, and the same question. They ask the same question here, but I think they are shy to write on the public. So the question is about contracted marriage in Iran, nikah mut'ah. Yeah, kawin kontrak in Indonesian language. So many people, many participants say that they are confused about the legal status about contracted marriage. So how about our distinguished speaker? I think Sümeyra Yakar is also has special initiation in Iran's legal system, and how do you respond this? This is the legal in Iranian legal system. We give the first question to first time to Dr. Sümeyra Yakar, then to Sultan.
Okay, thank you for the question. And permanent marriage versus temporary marriage is quite important. However, for the Iranian case, I say there is a type of there is a different types inside the temporary marriage also. One is quite similar. One is quite impacted to minimize to clean the mahram regulations. For example, if a woman is working inside the house of a person in order to minimize, in order to lift the mahram problems, the people, the woman and the owner of the house take temporary marriage, but this is the purpose of this marriage is fine. And there is another types of temporary marriage, and it is somehow similar to prostitution, and it's not acceptable, but it's quite similar in terms of purpose. The parties together make the payment and arrange and they have sexual intercourse, and then everything is finished. This is quite problematic, and you can find this kind of practice not only in Iran, you can find it in Arabic countries, in Turkey, in other Muslim countries, under different. I am not familiar with Indonesia, so I cannot say, but it's a quite common practice, but the name of the practice can be changeable. And another type of temporary marriage is that hidden marriage. Secret, we can call it secret marriage. If the man has second wife or third wife, and if he wants to hide it rather than announce it to public, it is mainly conducted under the title of temporary marriage. The parties know, and the child gets the custody. The child gets the wife. However, apart from this, no one knows the marriage until the death of one party. And this is the most common way, and you can find this practice in other Muslim countries. If a person wants to make a secret marriage, they can use the same practice in order to solve the problem, in order to continue the system under the cover of marriage life. And this is also known as temporary marriage in Iran, but for other countries, it can be known as marriage, second marriage, third marriage, whatever God knows. And what else? These four types are the main types for the temporary marriage. Iranians call it temporary, but the practices which are different from the main marriage institutions are mainly combined under the title of temporary marriage, which is known as mut'a marriage. And there's different types of practices as I categorize them. And these practices can be seen in different parts of the Muslim world, but the names and the practice is different. The most original practice of mut'a is basically called either secret marriage or the prostitution regulations, and the name of this practice is and visible in other societies also. And this gives this is still in practice. And UK, if you ask my personal opinion, I cannot judge, but if a person do temporary marriage, they get social pressure, and the parties and the families of the woman generally doesn't support this kind of marriage. It degrades the reputation of the family. Because of this degradation, it shows the society doesn't approve this marriage. It can be said this is the gifted marriage type of for man rather than woman, because the family of women mainly reject this kind of marriage practices. And regarding this rejection, we can say the society doesn't approve this kind of temporary marriage or mutual marriage as a respectable. And thank you. This is my answer.
Yeah, then most of women in Iran reject this marriage practice, contracted marriage or temporary marriage. Yeah, because in Indonesia, the general assumption said that temporary is similar to prostitution. Yeah, we cannot say that Sharia prostitution, or some people say like this. Yeah, and then we would like to hear from Sultan Fatani about the contracted marriage or temporary marriage in Iran. Is there any special regulation regulate this phenomena, or how?
Yeah.
Sultan.
Yeah, but thanks for the time. Because this is legal in Jafari School of Fiqh. It's also legal here in the constitution of Iran government.
It's written in the constitution.
Yes, it is in the constitution. The constitution article maybe of that rules about this kind of marriage is can be found in articles 1043 until 1070. It is the articles from the constitution that rules this, the rules of this kind of marriage. But it is not like a prostitution that maybe the Indonesian people imagine of this kind of marriage, because the article also said that if the woman is virgin, she has to have a permission from her parent to do this kind of marriage. And this kind of marriage will be permanent marriage if it said on the constitution that this kind of marriage will be permanent if the woman is if the woman and the man agreed to continue their marriage to become a permanent marriage. And if the woman or the man agreed upon some certain condition that make their marriage permanent marriage, it will be permanent. Like maybe if some kind of condition happen, then our marriage will be permanent. The condition will apply. It will be a permanent. Then if the woman is if the woman giving a child, it will be a permanent. The constitution said that if the woman on this marriage give birth, it will be a permanent according to the law. Because there also some kind of problem here if it is not permanent. The government get some difficult problem on the child that give birth under this kind of marriage. That's why the law force. Yes. That's why the law force them to be a permanent marriage if they have a child, to avoid a problem after this kind of marriage. Like what happened in Indonesia under the unreported marriage, nikah, what is called Indonesian nikah?
Nikah siri.
Nikah siri, yeah.
Report.
The government faced some problem about the nikah siri, about the waris, irth, and other things. That's why here the government, because facing that kind of problem, they force the people that do this kind of marriage to become permanent marriage if they have a child. It is on the law. Then, as Dr. Yakar said, that it is morally bad here to do that kind of marriage here. Yes, that's why here in the city, I do not find people all talking about this kind of marriage. When I ask some person here, because it is morally not good. Even the Fiqih said that it is allowed to do that.
So this is morally.
Yes.
Okay, is there any question? So
what this is on what a question, especially for Mr. Sultan. According to the religious life, do you prefer live in Iran or Indonesia? No. According to the religious life, I do not know. But the public facilitation here is better than Indonesia. Okay. Some public facilities here are better than Indonesia. Like public transportation, the basic need like electricity, gas, oil here are Indonesia are more expensive in this public need and public transportation, like gas, electricity, and others. Here, it is not so expensive, better than Indonesia. But in religious life, here, it is just the same as Indonesia. I mean, people on the street are not so religious here. They just like Indonesian people.
Okay, one question left. Chat column from Gali. He asked about the connection between this reconciliation agenda or Aman declaration. It is the reconciliation between Syiah and Sunni. How your opinion about this? Is there any further agenda in declaration of Aman? How Iranians see this declaration? Sultan, you would like to answer?
Okay. Aman declaration about takfir. Yes. Here, I mean, what we said, takrib bainal madhahib, right? Okay. Iran government support that leader, second life, to how many 12 years ago, maybe it is after that Aman recognition. He said that that condemning sahabat is haram, right? Before that, as we know that Shia always condemning some sahabat like Abu Bakar, Umar, and Utsman. But after this Aman condition, the Rahbar said that it is haram to condemn sahabat or Aisha here in Iran. If we hear some 12 Shia condemning sahabat, it is not in Iran. It is some 12 live. It's Habib. It's some 12 Shia living in UK, not living in Iran. So 3 years ago, some leader Ayatollah, another Ayatollah, but not the Marja here, because he provoked the government, said that this Ayatollah provoked conflict between Sunni and Shia. Is not allowed to giving preach here. His name is dari, Ayatollah dari. He was Ayatollah here, but after years ago, the government of Iran did conflict with Shia Sunni. Now he not allowed if it's publicly. Yeah.
Sümeyra, is the last question, is the conflict, Sunni-Shia conflict constitute Iranian constitutionalism? I mean, is there any opinion that Sharia is in the proper?
Yes, get the question about it. In Iran, constitution gives privilege status to Jaferi School of Law or 12 School of Law, which is a given privilege to Shia believers, and it's understandable. However, at the same time, the Constitution protects the rights of the followers of other schools of law. And it says if the person are the followers of the other 4 schools of law, his problems can be conducted in harmony with the regulations according to his school of law. However, since the majority of Iranian people are followers of the Shia school of law, it's understandable to see the influence of Shia school. So, in theory, the system enable and offer things to follow each school of whatever they want. However, in practice, the system says that these who are following the Sunni school of law and as being a Shia identity rather than Sunni practices Muslim. It's not involved because the other countries are following. On the other hand, within the you cannot find the followers of others easily. They were somehow left from the countries or revolution. It's quite difficult to see the sectarian diversity within the Iranian land. This is something important because I can see the people who hold Turkish origins. However, they all are followers of Shii school of law, and especially after the Ottoman Empire, the sectarian diversity started to decrease among the society. And regarding this decrease, the Shii population became the majority, and the constitution built to protect their rights. However, in return for just in Saudi Arabia, I want to give one example from that. And in Saudi Arabia, there is a small village which is mainly of which the citizens of this city are the mainly followers of Shia belief system, full of law, and
Recording in progress.
and it's quite important for me to open places for outsider, for minorities, if the legal system normalize the tensions and to protect the future complexities among the society. And right now, Iran is extremely Jafarized society, and you cannot find sectarian diversities. However, they accept different. They accept the follower of different sects as Muslim. So this is one positive gap. Don't reject the Muslim identity of followers of other sects. This is one important point.
Okay, thank you for both of you. And it is we reach the time. I think it is 15 o'clock in Indonesia, and maybe it is afternoon in Iran and in Turkey. I think I do not need to conclude this discussion, but the keyword I can look from our discussion is there are some secularization effort in Islamic country and some Islamization effort in secular country. Ada upaya-upaya Islamisasi di negara-negara sekuler, ada upaya sekularisasi di negara Muslim. Okay, thank you. Before I close this discussion, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to our distinguished speaker, Dr. Sümeyra Yakar. Thank you for coming virtually, and Dr. Sultan. Thanks also to Faculty of Sharia, Department of Islam and Constitution, and also special thanks to our man behind the gun, technical team, Wali and friend, Humas Fasha dan Humas Rektorat PR in our university, in our faculty. Thank you for your service in supervising our participant. Thank you. Let's close this discussion by reciting Alhamdulillah. And before we leave the room, there is an announcement from the MC. Okay, I got a message. This is for documentation. We would like to take our picture together here, and please, would you like to on your camera here, and we will count 1 up to 3, and then we can capture, we can screenshot. So, is your camera on? Okay, I will count. Oh, we'll wait for. We ask for your best smile here. 1, 2, 3. Smile. And move to second slide. 1, 2, 3. Capture. Other. Yeah, please keep your smile about 1 minute. Okay, the last one.
Recording stopped.
Okay, already finished. Thank you for all. Thank you for the participant. We hope you to join us in our next agenda. And thank you, Sümeyra. Thank you, Sultan Fatoni. Sümeyra,
My pleasure.
you're returning from Europe. Yeah.
It's a bit busy time for me, but